Hello, everybody. Welcome along to another Blue Monday Q&A stream. The idea of these is that the agenda is completely, entirely, 100% set by your good selves watching. So if you're watching here, we are live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We have no script, no nothing. We would love to go completely off your questions. So get your comments in, your questions, your topics, all of that good stuff as it pertains to our glorious football club who never managed to undersell in taking us down to new depths. Across from me is a man who not only went to Cheltenham. I lived in Suffolk for too long, didn't I? Not only went to Cheltenham last night, but then got stuck on the M6 with closures afterwards. Seb, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. It's always the way, isn't it? It was my first away game since the Blackpool. So the end of February 2020, all excited. And then, of course, we do what we do. And then, of course, on the way home, the M6 is all closed. So a 2.5-hour journey becomes a 3.5-hour journey. But, you know, we're Ipswich fans. It's an away day. And that's the kind of stuff that we're pretty much used to.
Absolutely. Right. Fill the comments full of questions. Again, we don't want to particularly, do anything that hasn't come from you down the stream there. Look, guys, I'm getting lots of congratulations on doing the princely sum of absolutely nothing. So I'm going to say thank you very, very much. Obviously, I became a father 6 days ago. And then I'm going to bat it away and say that pass the congratulations on to my missus. But it's thank you very, very much for all of those. Right. Let's get into questions then. We'll try and make it 100% questions. Ben, how is Project Mbappe going? I've got no idea what that means, George, but Kylian Mbappe to Ipswich, that might be nice. Michael, morning from Brisbane. Question, why so early? I'm going to put that straight back at Michael for living in a silly time zone, 12 hours away from where we are. Right. Lloyd comes in here. Seb. I suppose he's just cut through he's done a Dave Diamond there. He's just cut through the nonsense. The results are sure to come, aren't they, Seb?
Surely at some point, given the talent that we've signed, I mean, surely we'll just win a game through having better players on the pitch than the opposition, like we did under Lambert a load of times. Yeah, I mean, things aren't great. Obviously, it's both frustrating and disappointing. But when this team gels, given the talent that we've got and the options that we've got on the bench, that there's no reason why we won't be okay.
Can I just go on the kind of philosophical side of it? Because we are very much in two things can be true category. I've moved now, Seb, from maybe a week, 10 days ago. I was very, very much in give them time. They need time to gel. But after last night and 4 games this season, I now am perfectly understanding and find it perfectly reasonable for anyone to say that is an absolutely dreadful start and the results are not good enough and the defending's not good enough. I now accept that both positions can exist at the same time. Do you see where I'm going? I don't think it's a zero-sum game, and I don't think it's one or the other now, is it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we can question Cook because, at the end of the day, he's been fully backed by the owners. He's got the players he wanted to get in. He's got the coaching team that he has chosen. I guess we might come on to that with, has he got the right people behind him? But it's absolutely fine, I think, to question Cook. I don't think really anybody, apart from the odd Twitter meltdown, no one is really saying, Cook out, change the manager. But it's absolutely fine to question him because, it has been a very, very poor and disappointing start to the season. And it becomes a big game on Saturday now. And MK Don, in the words of Mick McCarthy, MK Dons are no mugs. They've made some good business this summer. They've got a former Ipswich coaching team in the dugout, and that's a big game now. If we were to lose that, then, suddenly the pressure ramps up a little bit more. And I guess whereas Evans in the past used to give far too much time to managers, I'm not sure that the game changer would if we were, let's say, 10, 15 games in and in the bottom half of the table. I think that the pressure could be on.
Keep questions coming in. We'll rattle through. By the way, you mentioned Mick got a 96-minute draw and 2 goals from sending Aidan Flint forward from long throw-ins last night. Brilliant stuff, Mick. We miss you. Paul, congratulations on your new arrival. Suggest you don't bring her up to be a Town fan. It's painful. Seb might have been partly responsible. The Blue Monday boys sent my little girl a Ipswich Town branded baby jumpsuit. And I have to say, it's not actually that garish. I was imagining this bright blue thing sort of coming in. So, thank you for that. Eric, not too high on the performance, but maybe we need to give Cheltenham a bit more props than an upgraded pub team. Jake, to me, this hasn't been a gelling problem. This is a tactical problem. Thoughts, boys? Talk to me about the game plan. And you were there, Seb. I was not. As I understand it, long throw-in missile-shaped tripwire was laid. We fell right over it, and if we'd have executed to a slightly higher standard, we would have been out of sight before the tripwire was laid down. Yes?
Absolutely, yeah, bob on. We if Bond scores the goal with the chip through the Marlon Harewood-esque miss, I think it is game over at that point. We were playing so well. We were really good in the first half. A couple of issues with the fullbacks. Danassian's not going to give you what Vincent Young gives you in terms of bombing on and taking the man on. So they weren't at their sort of free-flowing best. Midfield, Evans and Harper kind of struggled to get a foothold in the game. They were playing a 3 in midfield, and it was noticeable the extra body was really making the difference for them. But we were in complete control in that first half, playing really, really well. Edwards, I know you hate. I remember a pod from probably 2016 where Dave used to describe people as unplayable. You used to absolutely hate that term, but he genuinely was. He was superb. We gave the ball to Edwards and they could not cope with him. There were about 3 or 4 quick bookings for him and he was tearing them apart. Good goal by Penny. Maybe the keeper should turn it over or whatever, but it's a great start, a good goal. And then second half, we completely imploded and we just kept giving them long throw-ins and we just couldn't deal with it.
I think unplayable has been replaced in my most hated football terms, along with new manager bounce, with and bless our friends up the road, with self-funded is probably now my least favourite football terms. The amount I hear it from my lovely Norwich journalist friend Stuart Hodge. A couple of people asking this, HCH 9990, and saw one from Josh as well. They want Fraser in the 10 and talking about him playing on the left wing. Can I be a Paul Cook apologist quickly here? And you can say whether Josh and HCH are actually right. The idea is he's not actually going to be that wide once the system's working and it'll be tucked in and the fullbacks going forward. And do you think a lot of this is trying to accommodate Pigott and Bond? So the number 10 position is gone. Is this just something for Ipswich? I know Josh and HCH, I'm not accusing you of this, but something that Ipswich fans are now going to, I don't say obsess about, but fascinate over. It's the same thing, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, he's not playing as an out-and-out left winger, hugging the touchline or anything. He is quite often coming in field and looking to make things happen. But I guess given the quality that we've got, last night it had to be that way because he started Bon and Pigott and they were sort of changing between them. Pigott would sort of drop deep and go out wide to the wing every now and again, and Bon would sort of play on the last shoulder of the defenders. But I think, when it's all fully flowing, he'll kind of play, on the slightly out wide from the number 10 position. But the idea being he's got a full-back bombing on past him constantly for 90 minutes that he can easily pick out. And I think that's the way it will go. Joe mentioned on a Q&A, I think it was last week, he looked at the heat map of Fraser at MK Dons, and he did spend quite a lot of time on that sort of left-hand side, not on the touchline, but slightly off-centre. So it's a position he must know. We need to make sure we get the most use out of him.
Have you seen Mitrovic's goal for Fulham last night?
No.
Anthony Robinson, Paul Cook's Wigan fullback, literally straight down the line. It was almost like he had to be 1 yard from the touchline. The whole kind of ran round the back and then across the byline. So exactly as you just described. But I do understand that Matt Penny and Joe Pigott are not Robinson and Mitrovic. But maybe Maybe one day, maybe we'll get there.
Well, I guess we've got Coulson to come in, haven't we? So, potentially there's an upgrade at left back who could do that. I thought it was telling last night. I was looking at the stats this morning, and apparently we put in 12 crosses and not a single one was successful, not a single one found an Ipswich Town player, which I thought was quite telling. Because
was that crosses from the? When you say that, I immediately think either they were crossing from the wrong position, they weren't good crosses from the right position, or there weren't people in the box to come in on them.
To quote Dave, bit of both. Piggott was sort of, but Bond didn't really win anything in the air. Piggott was the threat in the air, which was weird when he was taken off, seeing as we were defending a lot of long throw-ins. But yeah, they were crossing from the wrong positions. Danassian's not going to give you what Vincent Young gives you in terms of beating a man and whipping the ball in. Penny's delivery was okay, but they've just had two really, really big centre backs, and Bond couldn't really compete against them.
Just have a look across the crawl along the bottom. You can support our massively poor bedraggled podcast team after 6 seasons via we've got a PayPal thing set up, Acast supporter on the Acast app. You support right now on YouTube via Super Chat if you hit that little dollar button next to where you leave your questions, and brilliant stuff, guys. There are plenty, so let's try and keep rattling on. Seb, sorry, we did have FPL Tractor's question up. Am I the only one who was relatively impressed with the performance? No, he wasn't, was he? You were.
First half, really, really good. Looked excellent. I thought it had finally started to click, but whatever happened in the second half, football's it's fine margins, isn't it? On Saturday, if we score the penalty, we probably win the game. If Macaulay Bond scores that goal from a yard out, it's 2-0, and it's an awful long way back for Cheltenham. So in the first half, we did an awful lot right. It's just the second half we couldn't deal with the basics. I mean, there were two really awful goals to concede.
6 goals conceded now is the joint worst in the division. And look, 2 goals a game, where you go. That's 92 across the season, isn't it? You know where you're going if that defending doesn't change. Right, I was telling you off before we went on air, wasn't I, Seb? I just brought out my Finidi George, never fall in love with a winger quote, but a lot of people were falling in love with one Kyle Edwards.
He was
last night.
Absolutely superb. Also, we had the cameo at Burton on Saturday where he hits the bar, and last night they could not deal with him. He tired in the second half, and noticeably every time he went to pick up the ball, he had at least 2 and sometimes 3 around him straight away. But he is an absolute class act. I've got absolutely no idea how we've got him in the building. I don't know why he's come to us, but he is absolutely superb. I know wingers by their very design can be frustrating and inconsistent, and I'm sure he'll have bad games. But from the brief time we've seen him so far, he looks an absolute hell of a player.
I just go back to something you said 5 minutes ago, and maybe I need to get away from the not falling in love with wingers, because they're not wingers that can be double marked 4-4-2 against 4-4-2, staying out wide, and they just never get the ball. That was the whole thing about wingers. They don't play like that anymore. They're far more narrow. They can't go missing for 20 minutes, and unless you literally folded back defenders. So maybe I need to revise that view. Charlie, don't think Cook should go by any means. Fascinated by how ruthless the US owners will be. What do we think?
I thought
come across as ruthless?
Not so far, but I'm quite interested by the fact it's just been radio silence from them since the start of the season. We got the messages, didn't we, before the Morecambe game? But since then, there's been absolutely nothing, and I just thought that maybe was a bit strange. I was expecting, a couple of encouraging tweets saying, things take time to gel, keep the faith, etc. But it is being complete radio silence at the minute. We know they won't mess around like Evans. We've got a proper structure now. We've got Ashton in as the CEO, and these guys are managing. It's a pension fund funding it all, so they are going to have to deliver results. So he's under no threat at the moment. I think, if I remember rightly, on one of the pre-season pods with the owners, I'm sure it might have been Burke Bakai said he gets the season, but that's it's very good to say that in July, but come November, December time, if we were to be bottom half of the table and Automatic is suddenly 15, 16 points ahead of us, then it's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
I love the way when we were batting about ideas before the season, that was like this unrealistic worst case scenario we were just throwing in there just so we had it in our armor. Oh, well, look, we said it could go wrong, but yeah, there you go. No idea why Bournemouth didn't sign Kyle Edwards up, and Danjuma is now off to Villarreal as well. So
good job we got that done in time, eh?
Yeah, they've got very good young left winger. Look out for him, Jaden Anthony, Bournemouth. So I think they're parachute team, aren't they? Well stocked. Mark, another frustrated 90. First half, we looked in complete control. Goals changed games. I felt our attack was very varied in times. Nice to play direct, patient, build up at times too. I think we agree with all of that. Patience is key, but is Ashton a patient man? On the basis of Lee Johnson at Bristol City, yes.
Yeah. Lee Johnson would have awful runs, wouldn't he? Where he'd suddenly, he'd win 7 out of 10 and then suddenly lose 7 out of 10. So, Ashton stuck by him all throughout time. So I think he's sensible enough and he's been around football enough to know how these things work.
What else are we saying here? Just a few comments. And there's a question there. Kirk. Cook has a poor record here, but I'll give him till October. If we're still way behind, bottom half the table, and a decision has to be made before the next transfer window. I mean, can you see? What is it, 16 players in now?
Yeah.
Can you see January being busy and that being a kind of a stopping point or a significant point for Cook to be evaluated at?
I can't see how it can be busy because surely both from a squad numbers point of view and from an SMCP salary point of view, we must be right near the limit. So, a lot of these guys are on 3-4 year contracts. So I couldn't see it being a busy month, to be honest with you. But if he is stuck in the, is it the second? In October, there's an international window, isn't there? And that tends to be sort of the silly season where managers start to go. I think it's when
October 9th and 10th.
Yeah, there you go. So potentially, I guess around then, if we were to be bottom half of the table, I don't think we will be, for what it's worth. I think it will start to click.
Graveyard weekend, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one where, if we are struggling at that point and, we're still chopping and changing, conceding awful goals, then that might be the time when he starts to get a phone call with a US dialing code on the front of his mobile. But I don't think it will work out that well. I do genuinely think he will sort it because the quality that we've got, he's got a proven track record, the quality of players we've brought in, I think we will sort it.
I saw an excellent tweet by the great Rob Chandler, who did appear on the pod a couple of years back, saying about the fine margins. John points that out. Fraser scores the penalty. Bond scores the opening goal. Add 4 points on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Burton, we would have beaten them. We were on top at the time of the penalty. And last night, 2-0 after 12 minutes would have been a hell of a way back for Cheltenham, given how we were playing.
Michael's talking about Edwards being very narrow in the second half. Was it a change of or a loss of shape, or was there many other things?
Tired. I think he tired. In the first half, he was dropping deep, picking the ball up and just running at them and skipping past them every single time. I think from about 60 minutes onwards, it was noticeable that he tired. He wasn't making the overlapping runs. He had one bit where he cut inside in the number 10 role and put a shot over the bar. But I think it was just fitness.
Kirk, thank you very much. A £5 super sticker. I can't really drink anymore because I don't get any sleep. So I'll drink some coffee to that, Kirk. Thank you very, very much. You can support via super chat and super sticker anytime during the broadcast. We're going to go about half hour, so we'll try and rattle through a few more of these. We were talking about this again before we clicked go. Charlie's asking the difference from first half to second half. Can you split that game in half, or is this just another example of this decade, 15-year-long lack of winning mentality around the place?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the midfield in the second half was the issue for me. The Evans and Harper just couldn't get a foot on the ball and really sort of dictate the play like they were in the first half. That's what did it for me. And then 2 awful goals, obviously, to concede. But I guess mentality-wise, we always said for years how weak we were, and if somebody scored a goal, it was game over. I kind of thought all that would go now, with the new players who are not tarred by the history of Ipswich Town Football Club, a brand new coaching staff, brand new owners. I kind of thought all that kind of stuff would be moved to the side. But potentially, yeah, I guess, we are still what we are. I guess maybe they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit. A lot of money's been spent. Are they thinking, one goal goes in, suddenly they're thinking, here, maybe it's a pressure point of view.
I think particularly with things like long throws, I always argue any team can concede a goal. And any team can concede any type of goal, can't they? You can score the long throws against Manchester City. The difference between a good team and a bad team, I don't want to compare Ipswich to Manchester City, that's ridiculous. is the good team doesn't let it define the game.
Yeah.
It's just a moment in the game, and it's like,
and you deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah. You deal with it, and it's not an issue.
From a long throw, we're scouted. We know what we're doing. We'll try and execute better, but we're now going to rumble things on, and that's the big disappointment. Jake, thought on the game against MK. Both teams poor defensively. Some good attacking players in both teams. Really, Goldfest incoming. I like that argument, actually. What you say?
Yeah, agree. Yeah, 2 poor defences. They've got Troy Parrott, who, being a former Ipswich player, is likely to score against Mo Issa, Scott Twine. Yeah, they've got some really, really good players who could do some damage, as have we. So potentially a high-scoring game. That'd be nice for a bit of excitement, but by God, let's hope we win, eh?
How good was that Scott Twine goal?
Oh, again, it was Swindon, wasn't it? Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Sat there in a grump. Night game, wasn't it? Sky TV, empty stadium, and you kind of like, well, it's a really good goal, I guess. We'll give you that one. Ipswich, I recognise that name. Given the neutrals have billed us as promotion favourites this summer, our team's going for it against us without fear and/or to take a scalp, and particularly Morecambe and Cheltenham, and we're now money bags Ipswich, aren't we?
Yeah, Checkbook FC, it's their cup final. I mean, the crowd in the second half was really, really getting behind them, and every time they had one of those long throws, the crowd were doing like we used to do for Luke Chambers, so they knew what was coming, and they were really, really getting behind it. And yeah, it's their probably their biggest game of the season so far, isn't it? So they are going to raise themselves when they play the likes of us and Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, but it's up to us to be able to deal with it. The sign of a good team is that you just batter sides, or you steamroller sides, or you just consistently win, and that's what we need to learn to do. We've got to make sure that if they are raising themselves against us, we step it up a level and just kill games off.
I have to say, there are some predictors. We've seen this before with teams where underlying numbers are good and chances are created, and it does swing, doesn't it? You cut out the 2 goals conceded per game, and you start to. So look, it was the complete opposite under Paul Lambert, wasn't it? Where you'd win with not many chances created and not many opportunities, and you were keeping clean sheets but conceding chances. I would rather have it this way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are creating chances. And let's not forget, last night, there's a very good chance that back 4, 3 of them essentially could be back up soon. Coulson comes in at left back. Edmondson partners Burgess in the centre. Vincent Young's back at right back. And it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? Burgess was good. He cleared and headed everything clear. Yep, there you go. Slotted in really nicely. Added a nice bit of balance, being left-footed as well, which made Wolfenden able to play on the right side, which I think helped his game. But conceivably, easily, that whole back 4 could change quite easily. The only worry I've got as well is Klagke. It doesn't look great at the moment. His kicking was very poor last night. I think he should have done better for the first goal, and that's a bit of an area of concern as well. But once he gets a settled back 4 in front of him and it's not chopping and changing every week, I think hopefully we'll see the best of him.
Cool. So hopefully, John, we've just covered Burgess there. Safety guy doing the safety dance. The clock will be. I think we've agreed with that, and we've mentioned the international break, which is the tipping point for a lot of owners, isn't it? Graham, Saturday a must win. They do start to feel. It seems like hyperbole from Graham, but once it's 4 without a win, you start to go.
If it was to be a draw and we're on 2 points, it's a lot of pressure going into Wimbledon the week later.
I think we agree with that, Matt, as well. We mentioned, look, it's not wingers, it's inside forwards. Get in the box, get inside the fullback, trouble in that centre half, fullbacks outside, and all of a sudden you've got, say, 1 defender, 2 inside forwards, striker, 1 midfielder. You've got lots of attacking options, but yeah, execute first. I think we've mentioned the crosses there. Talk to me about Pigott then, Seb. Matt's asking about Pigott. We're making chances for him. Good teams make big chances and strikers tap them into the net.
Yeah, he did all they missed from 1 yard, like Macaulay Bonne did.
Yeah, okay,
He did all right last night. He did okay. I thought it was strange when he went off. I thought Bonne would be the logical substitution, and you'd put Pigott back up front because he was the one going out wide for the long diagonals, and he was the one dropping deep in behind Macaulay Bonne. But I thought he did okay. He's classy. He's got it's a cliche, but he's got a good touch for a big man. There was one point where he sort of pulled the ball down and went into the area, and I think they put it behind. I think for a corner just before he got the shot off. But he's a decent player, and I think the goals will come.
I think you've mentioned the keeper. I'm not massively concerned about that. There has been mistakes in front of him, and it was almost easier for someone like Białkowski playing behind a low block with a team that was happy without possession. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you get embedded in the game, and maybe Cladke, they do seem to have been snap, quick transition goals or disasters to 6 so far, don't they? Or am I being an apologist for him there?
No, I'm not overly convinced yet. But he's League 2 goalkeeper of the year, and I'm sure he'll come good when he's got a settled defence. In front of him, I think the defence has been different every single game. He's had a right back filling in at centre back. All I'd like from him a little bit more is to be a bit more vocal and maybe command his area a little bit more. That was one of the criticisms aimed at Holy, and Cladke just doesn't seem to be overly vocal at the moment. But when he's got a settled defence in front of him, that might well come.
I'll take that one, Bulls. If we've not won in 10, will Cook survive? I suspect he'll resign if we haven't won in 10, let alone survive. I keep having this conversation about Wayne Rooney. It's like, will Rooney be the first to get sacked, Ben? No, he's on £3 million a year. No one's going to sack him, and he's never going to resign. And so it's often down to the kind of character and emotional profile of the manager. And Cook does strike you as somebody who could do a Mick, couldn't he? And slam the cup down.
Slam his cup of tea down.
Slam the cup of tea down. Was there a point to Jackson replacing Pigott? No,
didn't touch the ball, and we lost that aerial, defensive quality from Pigott at the long throws, which seemed really, really strange.
Bits his name dropping here because he's been talking to Paul Cook. There you go. Asked after how we lost the game. Apart from saying we had players on the coach within 24 hours of getting them, he's really not happy, and the players will know about it.
He did his thing at the end, I noticed as well, where he just stands by the tunnel and doesn't shake any of our players' hands when they go off. He did it a few times last year, and he did that again last night, I noticed, which I guess is his way of letting them know that they're in for a double session in the morning or whatever.
He strikes you as the sort of guy, though. I'm sure we've all had mates in life where you fall out with them and you think it's going to be awkward next time you see them, and they come bounding up and it's all forgotten. He strikes me as that guy who would, make the big gesture but then move on fairly quickly.
Really quickly,
Some COD speculation psychology from myself there. We've got a couple of minutes to go on this. Keep your questions coming. If you wouldn't mind, please hit like on whatever platform you are watching. You'll see a thumbs up on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Thank you again to Kirk for that super chat earlier. You can do so. And you can also contribute via regular PayPal or Acast supporter facility. And please do go and hit follow on all of our social media bits and bobs there. Twitter, obviously YouTube, where most of you are watching right now, and Instagram, which has been decent actually. We have to give Rich some credit for that. We put a bit of effort into that, and I think we've had people at all the games, haven't we, so far, and got some pretty good pictures. I will say, not quite on Bits level with his artistic, gloomy looking pictures of Cheltenham, but we try, guys. We try, don't we? John, Cook said transfer business close to an end. One more signing yet. I think we know about this, don't we? It's done.
It's done, surely. Where else could somebody come in? Unless you're going to get a loanee into right back in case Vincent Young can't do it. But then you've got the option of Burns and Danassian as backup. I can't think of any other areas I'd look to bring somebody in. Can you?
No, honestly, no. I think we'd heard about Tom Carroll ahead of time, hadn't we? And I do think that's the last one. I think the MK game's starting to look creepy. There we go. Nice word to use. Should we be concerned about the lack of updates on Edmondson? Hopefully
he did say,
not.
Didn't he? Pre-match, I think he said he's only about a week away or so. So hopefully we see him sooner rather than later.
Inexperienced coaches could be a concern. I mean, if you keep losing, then they are, because they don't have the winning experience to bounce off. But I always struggle with the inexperience argument, because you can. if you take that to the nth degree, and I'm not Charlie's not doing this obviously, but if you take that to the nth degree, how does anybody ever get a chance and ever get a job? But anyway,
the only thing that concerns about the coaching staff is the lack of the number two. You can have an experienced coaching staff if you've got a proper soundboard as your number two. And I think we just all thought, as did Cook, that Richardson would come with us. And I think that has knocked them for six a little bit.
Lord Ronald picks out that Cheltenham are literally set up for the long throw, and they've narrowed the pitch. Good luck to them. Look,
it works for them.
We couldn't stop it. Take the 3 points. So you win that one, Cheltenham. Right. Should towels be banned from the touchline? I think we might be a bit embittered there. Glenn, why do we sit back so much in the second half? I don't have a problem with teams sitting on a lead if it's done well, right?
Yeah, just when you do it really badly and keep dropping deep and can't find your creative players. It's because in the first half, Edwards was moving the ball up the pitch so quickly for us. And when he tired, I guess there was no one else. Fraser kind of tried, but there was no one else who could sort of get the ball and really run with it and advance us up the pitch quickly. And I think that's why we just ended up dropping so deep and not creating anything.
Right, let's try and rapid fire a few here before we finish, Seb. Most consistent player over the 90, taking into account the
Burgess.
Rubbish second half. Burgess.
Okay. Burgess for me. Headed it all, cleared it all, did well on his debut. He was the one for me.
Eric is not sure about Harper. Thoughts?
He looked okay, I thought, but in the first half, he was okay. A few nice touches. He creates space. His passing is very sort of purposeful and intense, which I quite liked. But in the second half, him and Evans disappeared. I know Evans was booked in the first half, so he's kind of playing on a tightrope. But in the second half, they couldn't get a foot on the game. But he's only young. What is he, 21, 22? He will have these kind of games where he can't really influence like he wants to. And now we've got the likes of Carroll or maybe Nolan to come back in when he's fit. At least we've got options. We can rest him for a week or so.
Chris, could Penny be not be in the team on Saturday when he scored? I don't think he will be, will he?
No, I think
Chris is right, isn't he?
Yeah, Coulson will start. I think it is harsh on him, but I think Coulson will come in. Coulson seemed to be the number one left back target for the whole of the summer, and I think hopefully he'll give more in terms of what Cook wants from his full backs in terms of getting to the byline, whipping the crosses in. Harsh on Penny for a wonder goal, but that's not what he's decided to do, is it?
Right, let's just do a really quick straw poll when we get Seb to ask one more. So, in about 3 seconds, I want you to either write Ipswich, draw, or MK. Ipswich, draw, or MK. How do you think it's going to go on Saturday? Go in the chat. Ipswich, draw, or MK. Do we get the first win on Saturday? There was one question I wanted to do from Michael there. Any more players out? Jackson feels sorry for Kenlock. Well, Jackson will be gone before the window, won't he?
Well, you say that, but he's got a squad number. He bought him on last night. He seems to be involved a little bit. I don't really know why, because we know he can't play up front on his own, and Cook kind of made it clear when he was in the bomb squad that he wasn't part of the plan. So I'm surprised he's still here. It might just be a case that no one else wants to take him. I could see Kenlock going out on loan to maybe a League Two side towards the end of the window. Maybe the same with McGavin. And I guess Jackson's availability will depend on how bad the injury is to Norwood, I guess, because we might need him if Norwood's going to be out for a couple of months.
So here's the expectation for Saturday then, Seb. Your job, as I fire these up, is to try and work out what the favourite is. Right, here we go. So I think we're still fairly confident, despite obviously, look, Russ Martin's disappeared off from was it Bits Put Lose? Deary me.
Yeah.
Grumble Bum Bits. So is Harry. There you go. There we go. So look, there's still, rightly or wrongly, positivity. And I mean, is it even positivity? It's when you add up all the all the components, but this has been the whole thing, and that beautiful cliche we've heard about gelling over and over again. So look, how do you think it's going to go on Saturday, Seb? And you don't have to answer that, because you can plug your preview show.
Yeah, obviously me and Rich will discuss it on the preview. This week is a pre-record tomorrow night, and we're going to get it out on Friday AM, so people have got a lot of chance to listen to it before the game, and also I guess to make it hopefully slightly more up to date than the one 2 weeks ago where we were saying we had no signings and 24 hours later we made a load. The following week we'll be back to a live show. We have got a special guest joining us tomorrow as well, so please be sure to tune in when it goes live on YouTube the next morning and podcast the next morning, etc. We'll discuss it tomorrow with Rich, but I've got a feeling it might well be a draw, but hopefully a high scoring one to keep it interesting.
we'll leave the stream today with will MK sign Dave Challoner, or have you seen
Rory Delap?
Mark Roberts for Birmingham now. I reckon he could reach the Marlon Pack was hurling them in as well. So look, there's a few available. Seb, thank you so much, and well done for venturing down to Cheltenham. Look, thank you for all your congratulations you've given me. Obviously, I'm not going to be at any games for about 6-8 weeks, so the other boys are carrying a bit of weight, but we should still be able to dive in on here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. Any famous last words, Seb?
No, just keep the faith, and let's hope we get off to get our first win of the season on Saturday.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. So Richard and Seb will be back on Friday with the preview show, and I believe
Mikey, Craig, and Dave.
Mikey, Craig, and Dave. What a lineup that is! Sensational stuff. And look, let's be fair. With me not being at games, I'll probably likely be back in next Wednesday. So keep subscribed, Twitter, YouTube, all of this good stuff. Thank you all for your time here and your questions. Literally no script, so we absolutely couldn't do it without you. And we will see you. I won't make any football-y type projection comments, but we'll see you after another game, and hopefully I won't tweet we're going to win this one, because I did the other day. Hopefully a win. Right, say goodbye, Seb.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you later, everyone. Bye.